I'm Babla Jonathan, and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories in this edition of the news, taxi drivers go on rampage in the southwest regional chief town, Buea. They went protesting against what they qualify as police harassment. One of them was reportedly slapped by a law enforcement officer, and soldiers have opened up a road that has been blocked for over 2 years in the northwest and southwest in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. And we'll also be telling you about the success of Angola's economy, which is thriving through the coronavirus pandemic. Stay with us. Thanks, dear viewers, for staying with us. We begin this newscast in the southwest regional chief town, Buea. Taxi drivers in Buea are on a strike. Reports from Buea say the drivers were provoked after one of their colleagues was reportedly slapped by a police officer at the San Pete neighborhood, and the drivers say the reports indicate that the drivers went on a rampage protesting against that incident, which they qualify as police harassment. The refusal of the driver to accept to yield to the need of the request or the request of the officers who were carrying out the usual control missions led to that incident, which provoked a general strike and protest in the town of Buea. And the drivers have been complaining for some time now with regards to the deepening Anglophone crisis and the what they qualify as police harassment in the town of Buea. And the divisional officer for Buea subdivision is already the scene and of course striving to calm down the angry taxi drivers in the town of Buea who are complaining over what they qualify as police harassment. Now, in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, soldiers have opened up the Kumbu-Oku stretch of road, which has been blocked by separatists for over 2 years today. And of course, the soldiers also recovered some of their equipments that went missing, and notably an engine of an armored car, the engine of an armored vehicle that fell into a valley during an operation. We have details with Bustella from Bamenda.
This is what has been recovered of an armored vehicle that fell into a valley in Oku while transporting some councillors of Oku Council and other persons shortly after the rerun of the twin elections in parts of the northwest region. In a Facebook post, the incident was attributed to have been masterminded by an Amazonian General Bush Rambo. Other opinions hold it was an accident, but the incident rendered at least 3 families devastated of the loss of their loved ones. Recently in Bui and Gokichunja divisions, road blockages have been blamed on the separatist fighters by the inhabitants. This stretch of road links Kumbu to Oku in Bui division. Trenches had been dug here and the road rendered unusable for at least 2 years. It was only made possible during an operation codenamed Gokubui.
Ambazona dug many trenches and the road was not passing. So apart from the operation itself, the engineer corps opened the road to make sure that the population will move freely from Oku to Kumbo.
The operations team leader says they killed 17 separatist fighters and lost a soldier when they destroyed the separatist camps during the Ngokubui operation. Amazonian flags, large supplies of artisanal weapons and munitions belonging to the fighters were also recovered and displayed here at the premises of the 51st Support Battalion.
We invite the population and tell them that you are here, the security and defense forces are here to protect them, to secure them. And then you need collaboration to succeed this operation, because you have to win hearts and minds. Those boys in the bushes, they are our boys, they are our sons. Let them come out, drop their weapons, and then all their sins will be forgiven. They will take them to DDR center in Bamenda, and nobody, if they drop their arms, will hurt them.
The end of the 7 days operation saw the visit of Brigadier Generals Cavalier and a Congressor Divine of the 5th Military and the Gendarmerie regions respectively. They saluted the bravery of the soldiers and then they celebrated. Bui Division has been one of the most dangerous areas in the Northwest region since 2016. This operation might have been a success to the soldiers, but more people are still in need of help. They desire to go back to their homes and regain normal lives.
Stella reporting there from Bamenda. Now back to the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Some inhabitants of Boya have been rendered homeless by wild flames. The cause of the inferno remains unclear. Smanjikan Gebre files in details.
Another dark day for the inhabitants of Bonaliunga, a neighborhood in Boya subdivision, southwest region. Fire has just consumed a 4-room house made out of plank, fondly called calabot. The inferno broke out in the absence of the occupants of the house. I was in the market. That was where I heard about the fire. Everything inside got burnt. Without any army rescue unit in Boya, it was the population who used local means of putting off the flames. Some used water and others ground to curb the rate of the inferno. The fire, reports say, took everyone by surprise as the owners of the house were not in. I saw the smoke in the sky and I felt that it was from my meeting house that it was coming from. The people who own the house are even confused. The woman recently lost her sister and she is in Douala. At least 30 million francs CFA is the estimated amount that has been burnt by the flames. No property was removed as a result of the intensity of the flames. Notwithstanding, some few dresses were removed. The cause of the flame is yet to be established.
2 women have been raped by suspected armed bandits in Suza, the Mongo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon. The suspects stormed their homes at night and made away with money and other valuables after raping the women. Details in this report compiled by Equinoxe.
Vraiment besoin d'aide dans ce quartier, l'insécurité, nous avons besoin de la sécurité, s'il vous plaît, aidez-nous, ça ne va pas ici.
Plea of a woman victim of aggression and rape in Suza in the littoral region for local administrative authorities to help curb high crime wave and rising insecurity in the locality.
Ici là, they fight for you. You know the worker for here. See people want keep us in.
Early this week, a group of armed individuals invaded the locality, notably Monday night at about 10 p.m. Their homes were burgled, as explained.
I hear what they did. Knock door 2 times, you don't fall for my skin.
They smashed the door, which fell on me. I woke up fighting with them, but they overpowered me. At the same time, I raised alarm for help. My neighbor couldn't come to my aid because he was tied up alongside his wife.
They don't want to tie you with a woman.
They used a cutlass to tear my clothes and underwear.
Go put them for there. After they tear my door for the house, they say, "Who should I see?"
Tied my hands and sealed my mouth. They sent their hands in my vagina, claiming they are searching for money.
And say they find money for all place.
She was later raped alongside the neighbor's wife, who received a similar torture and abuse.
Ils sont venus nous trouver dans la chambre.
They met us in the room. They beat up my husband and raped me.
Ils ont tapé. Et moi-même aussi m'ont violé.
My neighbor was brought in and laid on my husband with her clothes torn. She was raped too.
Ils ont déchiré le caleçon en deux. Ils m'ont déshabillé aussi. Ils m'ont violé. Et ils m'ont giflé à la face pour que je ne vois pas leur face.
We were fortunate not to have been killed as requested by one of the thieves.
L'autre a dit, commando, on fait quoi d'eux? On les tue ou ils nous donnent de l'argent. L'autre coup a dit qu'on les donne de l'argent.
I was threatened with a machete. My son began crying.
Ils vont me couper avec la machette. Ils m'ont dit, monte là-bas, tu regardes l'enfant. C'est là où j'ai calmé mon fils.
Sexual abuse confirmed by her husband.
They rape the 2 women. They see I'm not beside a year for my before. I jam me in a power. That's why I follow all the program where they follow. So
Before departing, the hoodlums seized their mobile phones, made away with money.
but my neighbor so they carry money 160,000 for you. They move jetons themselves inside your pocket. They move on all. They don't leave nothing.
Business items and household valuables.
They carry my TV, carry bottle of gas, open my box them, move all my fine clothes, they pick my shoes them. Or anything we find, they carry them, put them for back, and not give me nothing again. Now all of my trust where they live for me, we report.
Porter 10 palets de jus, porter mes cartons de fighter et tous les cigarettes, porter 2 casiers de bière. Ils ont mis tout ça dans un sac. Ils sont partis avec.
Complaint has been deposited at the Susa police station for investigation into the burglary and rapes.
The number 4 times this, you know, the worker I beg all people, they can't help. I beg na help.
It is the 4th time they are facing such an attack and abuse from armed bands. The expectation is that security be heightened in Susa and the criminals apprehended for justice to take its course.
3 fake council workers arrested by gendarme officers of the 2nd Gendarmerie region have been presented to the public, and the workers or the suspects had been using fake documents to extort money from business persons in Douala. Smanjik and Gabriel has more.
Moïla Emilien, 43-year-old, Chapchet Calvin, 43-year-old, and Melin Zembe Rosin Raisa, 40-year-old, were the 3 unfortunate persons who have been passing as council workers to extort money from business operators within the Douala municipality. We received an information concerning some persons who fake government documents and sell them with the aid of a fake stamp. After investigation, we laid our hands on the 3 persons you've just filmed. The 3 who have been extorting money from poor citizens in Douala are in possession of fake jackets and vital documents of all councils within Douala, alongside that of the Douala City Council. They blame their act on unemployment. I was unemployed, doing some petty business. With the coming of COVID-19 and the lockdown, no means to feed my kids. I contacted him and I was given the necessary documents to start work. Just like any other Cameroonian, Mr. Chapchet told my husband that I should deposit my documents that he is going to employ me in the council. Everything has been moving on well with these three until their capture by the elements of the second military region in Douala. Honestly, they are criminals. They have fake medical certificates. They deliver receipts of the Douala City Council, even though things have changed there. After their presentation to the public, they were transferred to the Court of First Instance in Bonanjo. Security officials are now calling for collaboration with the population.
Tomato farmers in the Republic of Cameroon are paying the huge economic price of the coronavirus pandemic. They are recording enormous loss in income as a result of the closure of the country's borders, making it impossible for them to export the tomatoes. But experts indicate that the problem is further worsened by the absence of a transformation and industrialization policy in Cameroon. For me, Armstrong Sander.
Baskets of tomatoes under the scorching sun begging for buyers. We are in markets in the west region of Cameroon, one of the bread baskets of the country. For several weeks, tomato buyers in Cameroon have been undergoing a terrible crisis, which has culminated to a drastic fall in tomato prices. A basket of tomatoes sells at 1,500 francs CFE, and we have a surplus in markets. In the farms, the baskets are sold at 500 francs CFE. The empty basket costs 200 francs. And to get it transported to Douala, where you will be expected to sell at 1,500 francs CFE, is discouraging. The unfortunate and discouraging situation has pushed some farmers to abandon their tomato farms, leaving a huge quantity of tomatoes to rotten in the farms. The major cause of the unfortunate tomato dumping is the border closure by Cameroon to fight COVID-19. Closed borders with main importers of Cameroonian tomatoes has caused supply to supersede demand in local markets. Madame Rokayato is a tomato vendor and says much risk is now involved in their activity, as very few persons are ready to buy retail tomato. She says a greater quantity of what they buy gets to rotting in the market. Experts on their part say the increased tomato supply over demand is seen as a problem in Cameroon because industrialization and transformation is absent or relegated in the country's economic planning. To resolve such problem, a factory known as La Société de Conserverie de Noun was constructed in 1986, but today the taxpayers' money put into the structure has been abandoned in the bush.
Même lors de la descente interministérielle.
During his visit in 2018, the governor of the West region saw for himself that over 500 tanks of transformed tomato has been abandoned in the structure. Imagine if each tank contains some 250 tons of tomatoes, then you can estimate the loss. You don't sit in Yaoundé and think that you can manage tomato production and transformation over here through your telephone. The structure has the capacity to produce some 400 tons of fresh tomatoes and 100 tons of canned tomatoes daily, but has been abandoned to collapse in the bush, and the former workers say the government alone has the key to rescue the structure. There is dumping in the country, and a basket of tomatoes is sold at 1,500 francs CFE. Imagine the loss. They regret that the government has no program at the level of competent ministries which directly support their sector of activity.
And the drastic drop in tomato prices in the Republic of Cameroon is making life quite difficult, especially for some farmers in Lelem, in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the country. Many of them are unable to recover huge sums of money invested in their farms. Immaculate Fogwe reports.
Is now being sold for 1,000 to 2,500 CFA francs in Cameroon. The drastic drop in price has, however, not affected demand, as several baskets of tomatoes displayed in markets are now begging for buyers. Several youths cultivating tomatoes in Lelem village in Melong subdivision, the Mungo division, are in pain as they are currently experiencing an economic shock. Many of them are unable to pay back the loans they got from cooperative societies to invest in their farms. According to farmers, the expense of harvesting, transporting to markets and labor charges has significantly affected their business. We buy an empty basket for 250 CFA francs. We later paid a sum of 250 CFA francs for a basket of tomatoes to be transported to the market. When it arrives at the market, we'll sell it for 800 CFA francs, making a profit of 300 CFA francs. Another challenge faced by youths of Lelem is a poor quality of seeds sold to them, which produces poor yields, with many of the tomatoes affected with blights.
Le fait que le président a encouragé beaucoup de jeunes d'entrer dans l'agriculture.
The head of state called on youths to engage in agriculture, but now we are regretting for heeding to the call. What is discouraging us to cultivate tomato is that the type of tomato seeds sold to us are not of good quality. Consequently, the yields are poor. We are calling on the government to accompany tomato farmers.
Nous prions au président d'accompagner les jeunes. L'essentiel, ce n'est pas de...
The drastic drop in the price of tomatoes has equally been attributed to the outbreak of the coronavirus, which has caused several countries to close their borders, making farmers unable to export tomatoes to neighboring countries, while cultivators are now languishing in pain due to enormous losses incurred. Households are celebrating the fall in price.
Now, before we go out of Cameroon, we take some updates streaming into our studio from the southwest regional chieftain Boya, where taxi drivers went on rampage today, protesting against what they qualify as police harassment. Derek Jato is on the line to Boya.
Wednesday, July 8, 2020 in Boya, the southwest regional capital. The evening is turning a bit ugly, circulation is perturbed, and the concerned are telling their story. He is one of the presidents of the trade union here in Boya, and this is him, the driver who encountered the police officer. Abba Abdurrahman, the divisional officer for Boya subdivision, we were told, was at this scene earlier, ordered for circulation to resume, promising the Boya taxi drivers that the matter will be given the attention it deserves to avoid such situation from repeating itself in the future. At press time, circulation was gradually being restored by the element of the forces of law and order, and the heavily deployment of the elements of the police and gendarme officers were visible. They came here to contain the situation and also apt for any eventuality.
Thanks, Derek Jato, for those updates from Boya. Circulation is gradually resuming over there. Now, how innovation in Angola is helping its economy thrive despite the COVID-19 pandemic is what we're going to see in the upcoming report. Equinoxe.
While the coronavirus pandemic continues, Angola is coping rather well, thanks to measures such as rapid containment, widespread use of masks and the opening of a field hospital in record time. According to the World Health Organization, 19 people have died in this country of 30 million inhabitants, compared to Canada with almost the same population and nearly 9,000 deaths.
We need to, first of all, to compare ourselves to those that are closer to us and represent similarities in terms of their realities and challenges they are facing. And when we see our reality and how we coped with the situation, we can definitely say that we've been so far successfully. And in a humble manner, we can say that we managed to do this because we follow in an organized way the directions that were given by the government. We took it seriously. I'm very proud of what has been done in Angola during the crisis, but I'm also very proud of what has been happening in Angola for the 2 last years in terms of getting Angola back to track. There is a sense of hope, but through hard work, being honest, and also to make the country get rid of corruption and mobilizing ourselves to the development effort, which is not just a government task, but it's a national task.
We're on one of the largest farms in the country. Due to the containment and abrupt stop of imports, this company has reviewed all its production processes and its distribution chain. Francesca dos Santos Daniel, who manages the company's digital platform, has had to cope with an explosion of demand.
During the pandemic, we landed 4,000 new clients.
An influx that no one anticipated. However, thanks to the responsiveness of the teams, local demand was satisfied. This also made it possible to look to the future with optimism and to immediately put long-term solutions in place.
We have invested $10 million in the production of tropical fruits like bananas and papayas. The objective is to satisfy our national market, but also to export these goods.
A bet on an export boom. It must be said that the resources are there. Indeed, Angola is one of the top 5 countries with the greatest potential in the agricultural sector worldwide.
Talking Point is up next. Our guest today is joining us from the Northwest Regional Chief Town, Bamenda. Barrister Fru Joseph is one of the lawyers of detainees of the Anglophone crisis. Barrister, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Babila, and good evening to your listeners.
Updates from the Bamenda military prison, military tribunal, military court. What happened today? Some detainees were in court.
That is correct, sir. Today was basically a misdemeanor day, which means that these are basic crimes that are committed by members of the armed forces. So most Amazonians were not in court today. But you know that even as the crisis persists, those members of Anglophone extraction who are in the forces are being accused left and right of petty misdemeanors like desertion or petty crimes like that. And because this our struggle is very widespread, we do not distinguish between Anglophones who are caught up in this. So actually in court today, there were actually some cases, and because they are actually the military, their names would be withheld for confidentiality reasons. But they were in court for some things like somebody who has a transfer order, is moving, but yet they still consider him as having deserted, or somebody who was in the hands of separatist fighters and then finds his way back in the hospital, and the system is accusing him or asking him bluntly that if you're not an Amazonian, why did they kill military men? Why didn't they kill you? So stuff like this, we take care of it and we stand by it and we defend it as well.
All right, so what was the decision that emerged from the court session in the Bamenda military court today?
Most of those misdemeanors were adjourned. We adjourned either for lack of service or one or two procedural issues. But the main cases are actually the felonies that come up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And so yesterday we had some felonies, some new felonies, and next Tuesday and Thursday we're actually going to have those old felonies that are on the court's docket. We are looking, and we are actually looking at 2 judgments that might come in next week in the case of the People versus Tabukum, and that is a cessationist charge. We are also looking to be able to get into the full merits of Fru Stanley's case. Apart from that, there are other cases that are scheduled. There are other attorneys who are taking care of that. But in terms of the Anglophone cases, these are the ones that are coming, and these are the ones that we are looking up to.
Right, you're in the town of Bamenda.
Yes,
what
sir.
is the state of the socio-political and security climate of the town of Bamenda and other parts of the northwest region?
Good Friday, Mr. Babila. You know that I am only an attorney, and I try, each time that I speak, I only try to speak in that capacity. But you cannot take away the fact that I'm a citizen of this. When I'm here, I'm a citizen of this town, and I'm a native of this town. Of course, gun firing is rampant. You'd never know when it's going to, when or where they're going to start shooting. And so whether you're driving or you're walking or you're biking, you never know when they're going to start shooting. So when the shooting starts, you look for refuge, you look for some place to hide your head, and that is the norm here. It's amazing how I hear some people say it's calm and it's good in Bamenda. All they have to do is be around. Because just yesterday, the Bali Park area, the Marit area, and many other areas had all these sporadic gunshots. So if that's the kind of security situation that you want me to comment on, life for the person on the street is unbearable.
When you move around the town of Bamenda, do you have the impression, are there some signs of a possible return to normalcy, a gradual return to normalcy? When you talk to the people over there, do they give you the impression that we could be moving towards a gradual return to normalcy?
Well, Mr. Babila, I would like to, each time that I talk, I like to use some points as indicia to measure every situation. If we're talking about checkpoints, there are no regular checkpoints in Bamenda. There are sporadic checkpoints, and so you never know what to expect. And those people, they don't, members of law enforcement and the military do not spend enough time in a single place. They just go around in vagrant, disorganized ways, and so that makes traffic on the days that are busy really horrible. And of course, you know that the road situation in Bamenda is really at the crux of everything. And that road situation has deteriorated for these 3 years. And you know that for these 3 years, nothing has been done to the road. So you can imagine that when the major BBCs were protesting about these roads, they were already horrible. And now they've not been taken care of for 3 years. And not only that, you would know that there are tire burnings, there are road barricades, and so if you're going to compare this to your regular town, there's no comparison. And so if I'm going to use roads as an indicia, that is a complete failure. Then the another indicia to measure whether a town is returning to normalcy is when you're talking about schools. Of course, anybody who's been around here knows that schools are not operational. And so when schools are not operational, I don't know what indicia they're using that we're moving towards normalcy. And then the other situation as well is security. Security of the home, security of the person, and security of your environment. None of these 3 indicias that Babila has been met. The security of the person is at best dangerous, and at worst fatal and mortal in most cases. The security of residences and property, houses are still being burned, houses are still being looted, and what you call anti-gangs are rampant. Nobody is controlling them, and so the security situation in that wise is just as horrible. So using this indicia, without going into many other things, Mr. Babila, the situation is deplorable. I will not, as a person, say that the situation is ameliorated. But maybe politicians who have a way of getting to the people and how the organized maybe backdoor meetings could say that something is getting to normalcy. What I observe every day, it's not normal. Well, there's a caveat though. This caveat is that station is an enclave. Station, for those who are used to Bamenda, up station, that's around the courts, hilltop, around the monument, that's an enclave. It sounds like it's not in Bamenda. Why? Because the military, the barracks are there, the gendarmerie is there, the legion is there, the groupement is there, the police are there, the governor's residence is there, and so there is this a fake semblance of normalcy out there. But when once you get down to Finance Junction, and you get down to Nkwen, and you get down to Tarinkon, you get down to Tatru Park, you get down to Bengui Park, you realize that the situation is horrible. And then when you get into the hinterlands, it even gets worse, Mr. Babila. When you go down to Ndop, when you go down to Bengui, when you go down to Batibo, then you begin to know that this is really the heart of the business.
Okay, Barrister, if you look downward a little bit, that will be it, so that we can see you clearly. Just look downward a little bit, so that we can. Right, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, now, Barrister Fru Joseph, your clients, some of the separatist leaders, met recently, according to information that was published by the communication department of the team of lawyers defending Sisiku Ayuktabe and the others. They met with some government officials in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, in view of talks that could possibly lead to a way out of the crisis. But later on, the Minister of Communication issued a statement and said that what is being said is not exactly what happened. What information do you have about this from your clients?
Yes, sir. I want to clarify two things. Number one, I am part of the larger college that defends the Naira 10 and other Ambazonians who have been detained in all the jails in Cameroon. And number two, I also want to state for the record that I'm a member of the communication team. So I'm well aware of all the press releases that have gone out. Those press releases.
Go ahead, please. We are getting you 5 on 5. Those press
releases, again, Mr. Babila, are self-explicit. They are clear. Our clients have always been succinct, eloquent, and very clear in every press outlet that they've sent out. So that message speaks for itself. I will not dwell on it. I would rather dwell on what you call recantations or half statements that are coming from the government. We have been dealing with the government, that deals half-truth. But I'm not going to go back to history because I'm not here as a history teacher or history professional. I'm here as a lawyer. I just want to dwell on cases that are now on appeal. If you would remember, Mr. Babila, when we started off, it was a major issue about nationality. And Cameroon is a signatory and a ratifier of the Convention for the Protection of the Rights of Refugees. That is stated law in Cameroon, in Nigeria, and in the international community. But you know what Cameroonian authorities did? They kidnapped these people. They took them illegally from Nigeria. They bundled them into a cargo plane and they brought them to Cameroon, and they tried them in a kangaroo court and gave them a life sentence. So there's a history of half-truths here. And if there's anybody I will hang my hat on, that I will pin my faith on, that I will trust my client, sir. I will trust that press release. I will trust something that is coming out of people who are illegally being confined in a maximum prison. I will not trust a government that will tell you that Ngabu was the one thing and it turns out that it's the order. I will not trust a government that argues with human rights organizations for basic human rights violations. So, very important here. On the one hand,
yes, those the discussions can they lead us to any possible solution to this crisis? Can there be a way out coming from that that meeting between some of the separatist leaders, some of your clients, and some government authorities?
Mr. Babila, I'm an optimist, and I want to stress this to you. And my optimism comes from two reasons. Number one, I have a lot of faith in my clients. I trust them as individuals. I trust their integrity. I trust their mental clout. I trust their judgment. And so when they involve in this, remember that these are leaders as individuals. These are professionals capable and able of actually exercising sound judgment. So when they begin something, I am confident and I trust that they can come to positive decisions. I am not on that table. I am a legal practitioner. The day they call me, or they call our group, or they call a group of us and ask for political advice, we'll give that by the side. But as legal practitioners, we are here ready, willing, and able to serve them in legal capacities, and we would like to stay on that lane. So commenting on whether it's going to be positive, I'm only being optimistic, but I am not a political advisor.
Barrister Fru Joseph, one of the lawyers defending detainees of the Anglophone crisis. Thanks so much for joining us from Bamenda in the northwest region of Cameroon. That's it for today. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye.